Hey everybody, we're here in front of the reef. Got some things to take care of on my saltwater side of the hobby, so let's start that now. So as you can see here, we got some shells. These are empty. Actually, that might have something in it, but empty, empty. There's that shell right there, that's empty. Let's see what else we got going on here. That's empty, 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 possibly empty. That's empty. So what happened was, I have a fish in here. It is called the Melonorus wrasse. And if I could find him, we're gonna take a look. So this guy is considered reef safe with caution because they do eat inverts. There he is right there, that green guy in the back. That's going behind the rock somewhere. Let's see if he pops out. There he is, right there. Probably gonna come out. Just get ready for him, just get ready for him. There he is, that guy, the Melonorus wrasse. Beautiful fish, but he is responsible for eating my inverts. Also, you can look at that shell. Gone, nothing in it. What I'm pretty sure he also did was eat my fire shrimp, my cleaner shrimp, because they're nowhere to be found. They are completely 100% gone. Part of the hobby. That's what happens when you have a reef safe with caution because they eat inverts. So, gonna have to replace them. Part of the hobby. It is a wild saltwater fish. And that's what it does. It eats those inverts. That's what they do, is they eat them. Been a little while since we took a look at the sump and everything. Got lots of cool things. Actually, you can see this fell off. I ended up picking up some mounts that we're going to use for that. I'm going to be getting the skimmer running again. I did start it. You can see this water is kind of brown, so it is pulling out the nutrients. Definitely need to rework the water level on here. You know, you can look at all that. It's definitely pulling it out. Now, this is something with keeping a salt tank. You are going to have salt creep. This is just going to happen. Look at all that in there. Just got to clean it up every once in a while. But what I'm going to want to do is, on the tank, is shut it off. And this should level out to about right here when the power goes out. So when that's done, what my plan is I want to fill this up to about here, give or take, and then repower it back on, let it go through the cycle, shut it off, and make sure it goes here. Because I feel with higher water level, it's going to be quieter, and also the skimmer is going to run better. That is definitely something that I want to do. Now, I definitely had some issues with the small quarantine tank, with it being a 10-gallon tank. Yeah, it might work for a few little fish here and there, but when you're trying to get fish in a tank, you want to add more. The 10-gallon tank was too small. We need to build and put together a new quarantine tank. That's what we're doing today. I'm using a tank that I polished and showed you guys how to do that. Let's do it. Let's build this tank. Let's put it together so we can get fish. What I'm doing with this piece of plywood here, as you can see, I measured it out. This is going to be the base for the stand. And so it begins, guys. We got the jigsaw and we're cutting the plywood to the right size that I measured out for the stand. Here's a tank we're going to use, guys. The one I did the polishing video on. We just need to get it washed. Yep, so we are going to be moving this out of here, taking this tank down, and that tank is going to go right here in this corner. I'm going to kind of risk it by scooting it out so that I can get what I need behind it. I think that's going to work. So here's what we're going to use to build the stand. We got some blocks, piece of plywood, some shims, and a piece of material. Now, the way I did this was I set it up and used a tape measure to evenly space it out. That's what I wanted to do, just to try to help keep all of the weight distributed evenly across the entire stand. Now we're working on the level, so as you can see, it's not quite level. What we need to do is lift the front up a bit, which is here. What we're doing with that is get a shim until, you know, we feel that it's gonna be level. All right, so you can see we got one there. I had to put two there and one right there. So here is our level on the middle, on the end, and on the end. So I had a piece of 1-inch foam that I cut down to size. That is going to go in place like this. As you can see, it's a really good fit. I got to just, straighten it out. This is where the black material comes into play. So we're going to go like this. Ooh, man. I might barely have enough. Now the fun part begins. Time to start putting the water into this tank. Gonna put this water in here and then the water we made. What's really great about the foam is once this water gets in here and all that weight gets distributed, it's gonna help level this out. So that's really great about using foam.
Now the fun part begins. Adding the water to the tank from the old tank so that we can get this thing out of the way and start setting it up. I'm excited about this bigger quarantine tank because I just want to be able to have more space, less stress for the fish, because obviously the smaller the space, the more stressed they're going to be. Definitely a mistake that I made, and I'm correcting that by getting this bigger tank to do as my quarantine setup. And yeah, you could see just getting it all set, moving things around. This is great.
So here we go. Gonna have to make some more water to finish filling it up. I did not have quite enough. Now I know there's gonna be people who are saying, oh my gosh, you got rock in a quarantine tank with copper. Here's the thing. These rocks are not going to leave this tank. And if I ever have to take this tank down, I will either wrap them and keep them in this tank or I'll throw them away. So these will never end up in here. Never. Well, I'm sure you guys can see all this junk here. This is a bunch of things that are going to be videos to come. It's for the saltwater tank. It's going to be epic. Man, I'm super excited, guys. Got this QT tank all set up. This is gonna be so cool. It's time to pick up some more saltwater fish, quarantine them, and all that good stuff. Because with the saltwater fish, we wanna make sure that these guys are not sick before they go into your display. Because if you're gonna wanna do coral, you don't wanna have any diseases and sicknesses in your tank, because the treatments that you're gonna probably have to do are gonna not do good things to your coral. So QT is what I'm doing, and it's just the way to go, man. I'm telling you, patience is key. I like to go 3 weeks. Put copper in there, make sure the levels are all good, and feed them. Make sure they're all eating. Make sure they don't have anything that is displaying signs of sickness on their bodies and their eating habits and whatnot. So that's why I want to quarantine my fish, and that's why I built a bigger quarantine tank, because I want to be able to add more fish at once. In that 10-gallon tank, I could not add more than a few fish in there. I learned my mistake on that. Learn from my mistake, guys. Learn from my mistake. So that 40-gallon quarantine tank is going to be awesome. It's going to allow me to do multiple fish at a time. Here's the thing. When I talked about 3 weeks, the reason why I like to do 3 weeks is because of making sure that all the fish are healthy. But here's the biggest point. I want to do all the introduction at once. So if I get fish and then they've been with me for a week, I've treated them and all that, so I got 2 more weeks to go. Not 3, 2. 2 more weeks to go. If I was to add more fish, guess what? I'm adding 3 weeks again. The reason that 3 more weeks is going to be added is because the first batch of fish is 1 week into its 3-week quarantine process. So if I was to go and add new fish to the tank, what I'm saying is, after 2 weeks went by from adding the second batch, technically the first batch went 3 weeks. But to me, that defeats the purpose, because what if the new fish had any type of parasite that could have been introduced to the quarantine system, which could have been introduced to the fish who have already been in there? So I got the bigger one because I want to add more at once. So that's about it, guys. What do you think of the new quarantine tank setup? Again, you can pick up acrylic tanks for next to nothing. put some elbow grease into it, use some power tools, and you can get that thing all polished up. As you can see from that quarantine tank, it's perfect size and it looks great, and I polished it, so it's cool. You know, it's cool to see something that you did in action. If you guys like this video, if you could like it, if you could subscribe, hit the notification bell, that would be awesome. You guys know I love your guys' comments and your support. You guys are what keep this channel rolling, so thank you and stay tanked.